trying to build an Ireland that's respectful of all its people, that's tolerant, that's based on equality and respect. I want to thank all of the people who expressed support for me, the Sinn Féin team that worked very, very closely with me over some time. I want to especially thank Clet, my Bancalia, and our family. And I want to give a big waste more to my legal team for their exemplary work. So Glockham, a couple of questions this morning. I'll take some questions if you wish.
Mr. Adams, we understand you still have to pay your legal costs as a result of having a child delay. Can you tell us what they currently stand at? And do you have a direct message for the claimants in this case who we understand are upset about the outcome today?
Well, I have nothing but sympathy for the claimants. I was moved by the testimony of the two men who came forward and told of their own personal difficulties and circumstances, both in the explosions and following the explosions. And I know many victims were standing outside a building here that people were killed in. Family members of mine have been killed, so I know what, I've been shot myself, so I know what it's like. I think they were badly advised. I think they were badly advised from the very beginning, and the responsibility for that lies with the legal team that brought the case.
Can I ask you, given this appears to have fallen on the process?
Sorry, that again?
Given this appears to have fallen on potential including the process, does that strengthen your view that this was a political trial?
Well, it clearly verged, and this is no criticism of the judge, because I think he acquitted himself well and how he adjudicated and moderated the proceedings. But at times it verged upon a show trial. Anonymous secret agents of the British state hiding behind a screen. Others who were up to their necks in the subversion that the British state visited upon people of this part of the island of Ireland. Many members of the intelligence services who have been found responsible for collusion, and others not by anyone other than the British government's own commissions and inquiries and investigations. So it clearly was, I said at the beginning of the trial, it clearly was an unorthodox and strategically important political case taken for that purpose. I don't fault the claimants for that. Why did the lawyers decide to take this course of action? I wouldn't speculate. How do I know? But I do know that they were making their closing statements, and they must have thought they were going to lose, for whatever reason.
Can I ask, what does this mean for the wider legacy process? And also, could you just clarify you're paying your own legal bill?
Yes. Well, I'm supported by friends and so on, but yes, I was never going to make an effort to burden the claimants with my legal bill.
What about the wider legacy process? Like, this is obviously dealing with matters that happened many years ago. What does it mean for the wider process?
Say again?
What does it mean for the wider legacy process? Because obviously this case was dealing with a whole pile of decades old allegations and so on.
Well, it's hard to know what state the legacy process is in, or even if it exists in a proper form, because the British government have torn up the commitments which were made way back at the Stormont House Agreement. They have walked away. They have refused to give families their entitlement even to inquests and so on. We have consistently argued for a genuine truth and reconciliation process, and I argued back in the day for an international dimension to all of that. We can't have the British presiding over it. The the Irish government have a big responsibility. The British, as I understand it, are working with the Irish government to get some agreement on what happens in the legal process. But that includes the British government letting their own forces get off scot-free. And the Irish government cannot, I think, acquiesce to that. But look, the issue about victims is deeply challenging. And we do have to find a way of dealing, and we use the term victims, and all victims are different. Some victims are deeply troubled, some victims are the best supporters of the peace process, some victims are getting on with their lives. We need to find the very, very best way to deal with the issues on the terms that the victims' families want. Not the terms I might want or anybody else, the terms that the victims' families may want, and that's something that we will look to in the future.
The lawyer for the claimant has said that this case will essentially stop future potential faults for victims. He said the case does not represent a victory for Mr. Adams, but the reverse. Do you accept that characterization? I'm
not even going to comment on that. I never claimed it to be a victory. It seems to be an excuse.
Mr. Adams, the legal experts have said they believe your cost in this case should be well in excess of £200,000. Could you confirm that's the case and give us a ballpark figure for your cost?
I don't know. I don't know, but when we tot up all the bills, we'll let you know.
Mr. Adams, what would be your response to the comments from Brendan Hughes' daughter today, just being said that she looked at her father's face on you for the rest of your days?
Well, Brendan was her dad, so I think that's understandable.
Nothing else to say?
No, I think that's understandable. By the way, if I may say so, I never shunned or walked away from Brendan Hughes, despite the fact that he took the actions that he took. So I understand why Josephine is so annoyed, and she's entitled to that.
Okay, so I'll go back to your comments on legacy. How far away do you think the point is where we can say this is how we do it?
I think we need a refocus on the Good Friday Agreement. A lot of the focus at the moment is on the shenanigans up at Stormont with the DUP trying to fight the next election and to create difficulties and these other issues, and there are many issues of equality and of making sure that poverty is tackled, as well as the referendums on Irish unity. So we need a new focus, and there is a huge responsibility. Sinn Féin can only do so much in this. There's a huge responsibility for An Taoiseach to bring that refocus and to engage with his counterpart on that basis, and that includes on legacy issues.
Okay, folks, thank you.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.